example, even as we transition to you, Eric, there's something I've always learned in life is, even if you don't do it, there's someone who's going to do it.
Yeah.
If you don't buy land, doesn't mean that people are not going to buy land. There's someone who will buy land.
Yes.
And they'll sell to you double, triple the price sometimes later. If you don't go to school, someone is going to school somewhere. And in 5 years, you cannot compete with that person. You know? If you don't invest money in the market, someone is doing it.
Yes.
You know? And 5 years down the line, you guys will not compete on the same level. I remember when I came to Nairobi, a place like Mulolongo was non-existent. It was just a small town of trucks.
Yes.
That Shukima, all of it, there was no land. And when I came there, I used to sell milk, so I understand Nairobi very well. So there was nothing between the tarmac until Katani. Is where there was one kiosk, because it was almost close to Kayole, close to Eastlands. Mpaka uko juu. So you could find it. Hiyo mali yote ilikuwa kiwanja, clay soil and all that. It was nothing. Mulolongo was nothing. Kitengela was just a couple of shops. And Nyamachoma, there was nothing. Rongai, there was only Tuskies. There's no building around it. Only Tuskies. It was standing in the middle of a swamp. In fact, around the Tuskies kulikuwa na kaswamp, ilikuwa na maji. Now today, I'll tell people this story. That mimi niliona hapa kama hakuna kitu imejengwa. You know? Niliona Shukimau kama haijawekwa. Niko na nyumba Shukimau sina. Rongai niko na ghorofa sina. Somehow someone bought it.
Yes.
Aliona mbele. That time plots were being sold in Kitengela for 20,000. 30,000, 60,000. Ulikuwa unapelekea Masai Pro Box anakupea 5 acres of land.
Yes.
At that time, do I have land in Kitengela? I didn't get it at that time. Maybe I have it now, but at that time I didn't get it. But there's someone who bought it.
True.
There's someone who is selling now. There's someone who saw an opportunity in Rongai.
Yes.
When it was only, you remember that time we used to drive to Rongai, ilikuwa manyani, tu zilikuwa kwa barabara. Alikuwa anaendishanga chakula. At that time, there was nothing. It was Galeria, Langata, even Langata is not done once. Yes. At that time, then it was Galeria. I think this has been built at that time. Then now, all the way to Rongai. Tuskies. And is what you could find in between. In Kitengela, there was nothing. So Kimau was zero. Mulolongo was nothing. How many gorofas are there today? There are many. Is it not sons and daughters of men who are built there?
Yes.
You know? So kuna kwanga na historia hata kwa village unasikia mtu anasema mimi 1993 nilikuwa mnoma, nilikuwa Nairobi. Nilikuwa na pesa, nilikuwa na tesa mbaya mbo. Unajua kulikuwa na huko Westlands kulikuwa na club ilikuwa vitu fulani. DJ alikuwa kuna this DJ mpya. Unasikia mtu anasema oh tulikuwa Florida. Florida by the way it's closed today. I don't know. I know you don't know. No, it's closed. They actually renting it out. It's imefungika. The people tell us stories of things they did at that time that they have nothing tangible to tell about. There are people who sold land in Hapa. A lot of challenges. They come from my tribe. Walikuwa wamepewa shamba na Moi hapa. Walikuwa wakale wote hapa Radisson Blue, Crown Plaza, Camp Community hapa yote. Challenges were owning land there during Moi's time. They sold the land and they went to the village. Ama walikunywa wakaenda mguu wakarudi results. I mean, whether you do things or you don't, there's someone who's going to do it.
Yes.
Whether you invest or not, there's someone who's going to invest.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes.
whether you decide today as a young man to save money and do something constructive, there's someone who's going to do it. And for a reason or the other, in a couple of years, you'll not compete with that person. So when we talk about investment, saving investment for young people, at times it looks like a painless thing, like it does not make sense. Like, okay, why should I buy land in Katani, for instance, in Kangundo, for instance? Why do I need to buy land? 2 years ago, it did not make any sense. Today we have a bypass. People are building houses in Kangundo.
Yes.
So like my good friend Wanderi is saying is, I mean, think outside the sphere. Think about where can you invest. At that time, it was laughable for you to say you have gone to go buy land in Mulolongo. Why would you go to Mulolongo to go and buy land?
Let me tell you, you're not even Mulolongo is nearer.
Yes, there's someone who has reminded me, DJ Paco Perez. Hey, Jane Mumbi. Remember Jane Mumbi? DJ Paco Perez, yes, that's right.
You see this Gong Road?
That guy used to do a lot of
Gong Road.
And Parklands.
Jamhuri. And a bit of Westlands. There was a lot of land owned by Kenya Power and Lighting Company. And I remember one of my landlords bringing me to Jamhuri and telling me that if you have 600,000, you can get half an acre. We're talking of 1998, 99. But do you think Hubris would allow me that time? No. Hubris wouldn't allow me. Nataka gari. Hata mimi nataka kufloss na gari Nairobi. Nataka kwenda 3 wheels. You know where you see the mall here used to be a club called 3 Wheels. We used to live our life there. Then Green Hills also opened a branch in Westlands. You move with it. It was fun. But my Lord never gave up on me. And that's why I don't like giving up on young people. He called me one day and told me, you know, you did not listen to me, and you're from near my village. I want to advise you. When you hear people have gone to live in Karen from Umoja and Buruburu, they don't walk there. They don't take a walk to go and live in Karen. They plan for it.
True.
So you've got to start planning. And he told me, because I know you and I see you are organized, I want to take you out. So he would tell me, let's go out. Remember, now I'm driving. So I'm among my classmates. And we would go out and he would tell me, you see this one belongs to my friend. This one belongs to my friend. So he was making me see sense. And one time his brother-in-law was selling something. And he told me, this one you will buy. Nobody will buy this one. This one you must buy. And I was so reluctant, Eric and Bitok. I never even went to pick the title deed. It was picked by my younger brother because I was really feeling like I've thrown money away. Today when I look back, I say, may Engineer Gojiri, God rest his soul in peace, really saved me in a manner in which not many of my age mates or any people I had met would save me.
Wow.
Because he insisted, this one you must buy. Even if it means selling that car, this one you must
buy.
And that is now what opened up my mind, because I was shocked. I said, this thing I've bought 300,000. After near people offering me $1 million.
Wow.
Hey, what do you mean? Then he told me that is the way it works. As you said, somebody will buy. And when we went there, it was a swamp, you know, because it is, somewhere along the Thika, toward Thika now. It's actually nearer to Thika. And I was like, this is a swamp. This place is, who will ever build here? Now, it is heavily built. People have invested there. People have relocated there. There are serious businesses going on there. Actually, to get a plot there today, you need 15 to 18 million, depending on the location. And that's an empty one. You get?
Yeah.
Now, that is now how things change very fast. 2006, 2007, people were selling houses here in Langata, 4 million, 4.5, and some even 3.5. What is the cost today? You're talking of 25 to 30.
Yeah.
So as time goes, you need to realize that there are things that accumulate value in time. And one of them is land. Land never loses value. As long as you consider three things: location in terms of physical location in terms of other facilities, and location in terms of other institutions. Yes, because as long as an institution, there will always be. Langata Barracks is not moving away.
True.
Okay, so it's not going to move away. There are universities coming up there. They will not move away. So you've got to see forward thinking. Okay, and it's not wrong. You don't need to own the big house today. Houses in Komarok when I left college were costing 700,000 Bitok. A full house, a maisonette, 750,000. How much is it today? At that time, people are being persuaded. You were talking about Rongai, you are going. People are being persuaded to be shown plots in Kayole. That this place, Nairobi, the government has come up with a plan to decongest the city. Okay? And to reduce slums. And the way to reduce slums is by creating, making roads, putting water, electricity, and sewage system, and a whole drainage system to move people away from the center of the city. Kayole looked very far, even in 1997.
Yeah.
Very far. Is it far now today? No.
It's very near.
It's very near, and it's expensive. It's very dear. So people have got to see that cities cities grow organically.
Yeah, organic growth.
Yeah, there is organic growth of cities.
And you need to align yourself.
And you need to align yourself. And for young people, I would advise them 40 in the ring, just around the 40-kilometer radius. That is where you scout for good investment.
Before me read the comments I throw to you. Najua tumekuweka pending sana.
No problem, it's okay.
Naona Kanan Kipchumba Kilacha anasema, Gerald, we should learn to embrace the change that comes with time. Whenever virgin opportunity knocks you should be among those who grab it fast. When Eldoret town was developing, a muzee from my area sold this massive land at Chepkwele University to go buy another in the village because he feared the rot that comes with urbanization and might befall his children. Why? Little did you know that children grow and move out of the cities. Move out to the cities. Sasa shamba Chepkwele is such a fortune, while the land back there is worth very little even in production. Wow, they're quite interesting. Linda Corey says, candid conversation, thank you. Kapsiyo Tori, this generation wants to get rich overnight. Kanan says, Captain Wanderi, you are so full of wisdom, but again, the current generation of young men and women is always in hustle and always in est, and like your time when you had the patience of a vulture. Every young man wants to be known and recognized, and that's why you even see people with no leadership skills at all wanting to be politicians. Wow, that's something Eric had mentioned. Sheila Chebu says, amazing show, thank you. Nicole Chabiji says, there's a man I will always cherish. He touches the lives of people, or wherever, in a small way he may be. All right, thank you so much. Okay, Nicole, yes, these economic blocks are dead. There's someone who talked about the economic blocks. Julia, so just great conversation of the young people of this great nation who are trying to find easy to make it at listening and the process inevitable. Eric, before you lose your thoughts. Okay.
I think I wanted to confess of one of the mistakes of my youth. When I got married, my father-in-law took me to a place where he wanted me to buy a plot of land. And he was sure that even though I was not doing very well then, I probably would have squeezed myself. Through sacrifice, I would have afforded myself a plot there. And when I sat down, I was like, no, this is not urgent. And I think looking back, he had seen very many years ahead, because even though it was not urgent, it was a very potential place, and I think it was very, very important. And I think when it comes to investing, sometimes we let what seems urgent, what is giving us instant gratification, will sometimes overcrowd our decision-making for going what is important. And I think the encouragement this morning, even from the conversation with Captain, is that we have to balance between our needs of today and our needs of tomorrow. And investing many times will never be urgent, but is very, very important in creating a solid future for ourselves. But as we invest in things, and even as we invest in land, I think we have to balance with investing in ourselves, particularly for the young people that are coming from a background where, they do not have a lot of endowment in terms of resources from inheritance. So for them, they have to depend on...
build your own inheritance.
They have to build their own empire. And you will find that many of them are gifted, but they do not invest in the areas of their giftings. You will find that many of them are very intelligent, but somewhere along the line they give up in investing in themselves. Whereas the knowledge economy is very big. Demand for knowledge, particularly in the digital world, is very, very high. And I was just watching a video the other day that was saying that the next, a lot of millionaires of the next 1 decade will actually be born from the knowledge economy. Just somebody doing videos on how to cook. Somebody just doing videos on how to take care of your hair, how to take care of your skin, how to develop your business. A lot of wealth is going to be generated from the knowledge economy. And the beauty is that in generating wealth from such spheres, it is not capital intensive. It is time intensive, but not capital intensive. Just somebody needs to sit down and read thoroughly.
What you're doing,
about a particular topic. Even like what you're doing here, Bitok, you are penetrating the knowledge economy, and you can be able to generate a lot of value out of it. So to encourage young people, when we talk about investment, we are not just talking about money.
Yes.
Sometimes we are talking about you investing your time to perfect your talent, to commercialize your talent, to use your talent to add value in other people's lives, to solve a problem, to encourage them through songs, through poems, and all that. And that alone can be able to generate a lot of wealth for you. So even if you do not have, when we say, invest, somebody is thinking, I must have 1 million shillings to go and invest.
Good money.
What you're being called today maybe is to just invest your youth in something constructive. You're just being called to invest your time in making yourself a better person and in adding value in yourself so that tomorrow you can be a more resourceful person in society. Yeah.
All right. That's quite deep. Anyway, we finish in 10 minutes. Let's talk about, there's someone you had proposed that we talk about the economic blocks. When devolution came, they were what we called the counties, the regional economic blocks.
Yes.
For us, we had the North Rift economic block. I don't know what you get. Towards South Rift, going down to Nyanza, there was the water, something. I think the Western region and all
yes,
that.
the lake.
Yes, lake and something economic block. So the question is this an effective way of looking at development, even as we look at devolution as well?
Bitok, you remember there was a time we mentioned the distance from Naivasha to Kitengela and the number of counties you want passes through. Now I want to take you to the counties of, let's say you start your journey at Mlolongo also. You're going to Murang'a. Okay, Mlolongo to Nairobi is 25 kilometers. Murang'a town is 80 kilometers from Nairobi. You will have passed through the counties. You will have started in Kajiado, or let's say in Kitengela. You've started in Kajiado. You will touch Machakos, Nairobi, then Kiambu before you get to Murang'a. You're already touching 5 counties. And I say this thing is it's something that we really need to think about. And you remember me mentioning that these economic blocks ought to have made a lot of sense if the governors and the legislative assemblies there had learned. There was a time before the devolution, an act known as the Contiguous Districts Act, which required districts that are joined together to have common development agendas. So that if you have a sewerage system that begins in Nairobi, that's going to drain into parts of Machakos, then it behoved Nairobi and Machakos to cooperate. If you have one that moves from Murang'a towards Machakos, it behoved Murang'a and Machakos to cooperate. Now, right now, you have governors making all those statements. But as I have said here before, if you're going to buy something, you buy potatoes in Naivasha. You want to buy something in Kimende, you stop there. And you have Kiambu County people asking you to pay a parking to do some shopping.
Yeah.
You get? Then you come to Nairobi, you have to pay parking.
It's tedious.
It's expensive. It's actually anti-business. And this is what I thought when I heard of the blocks. So that, for example, if this was a thinking, that's why there is a Schengen visa. If you get a visa to the European countries under the Schengen regime, once you get into one, the flight from one to the other is no longer considered an international flight. It's a local flight. Yeah. And those flights cost less than 7,000. All of them. They have a markup. Then that is to encourage use of air to reduce road pollution. Yeah. That's the way they've decided to go. Now, you have a situation here where these people are not thinking. If you get, for example, a license in Kiambu, you have to go and pay another one in Murang'a. Yet, for example, if you are in Thika, if you are in Blue Post, you are in Kiambu, one side of Blue Post, the other side you are in Murang'a. Does it make sense?
It doesn't.
Doesn't make absolute sense. And this is what we would have thought, and this is what I would have thought that the governors would do. That they not let them just look at the territorial mass, saying that we now have an economic bloc. No, the economic bloc must make sense to the people who move and trade in there. Because any person who lives Keno, Makuyu in Murang'a, and there are people who live there and come to Nairobi daily to work, leaves Murang'a, passes through Kiambu County, comes to Nairobi County. But look at even the very basic business of matatu. You've got to paying through all those counties.
Yeah.
Yet those countries who have created a regime where you encourage people to invest in that region by telling them that they can split this income. They can split this income. And it is very easy. If you're talking of South Africa and the SADC countries, one country collects the customs duty. Then it is shared across the finance departments and the finance ministries of the others. So what is so difficult in having, they are using the digital, and that's where you talked about the avenues for digital integration. These counties are online. You see some of them even in eCitizen. Use digital payment platforms where we know that if so and so has paid in Kiambu, that ticket is valid in Murang'a.
Yeah.
You get. That way you will encourage people to want to stop. Because personally I said it and I still say it. I'm not going to stop along the way where I'm going to be charged so that I can do shopping in your county. I will not do that. So I will prefer shopping in one place and just bypassing the rest. Am I helping the economies, the commerce of those places? Even if I want to stop to have a cup of tea, there was a hotel I like to stop at Murang'a, which has very good food, and they make traditional food. But I no longer stop there, because the moment I stop there, I have to pay parking fees. Why should I pay? And I'm bringing business to you.
Right. And I think for that you have an experience, because I remember that time when you're sitting in your office, you're telling me about the challenges that you're having between Nairobi County and Kiambu County being on the border. The guys from Kiambu County want to have half of your office, and the other guys want to have your office, and you have to pay. So I mean, it's counterproductive.
Let's start with every devolved unit in this country has a minister for trade.
Yes.
So to speak. How many times have you had there's a conference
for ministers of trade from all these devolved units, or even from the regional blocks, for them to reason out things that, because we are together, there are things we need to harmonize to make it easy for the business community to function within our block? The truth of the matter is that I've not heard of such meetings. I think it's a problem with the paradigm that these devolved units are viewed only from the revenue collection perspective, not service delivery. Nobody is thinking about service delivery. Nobody is thinking about the matatu guy having to cross from Thika to Murang'a and the challenges that he has to do. If, for example, I have to do my marketing for a business from Murang'a to Thika, the hurdles of getting clearance from all the offices just makes it prohibitive. But you see, Bitok, if I did that marketing, how many people are benefiting? I will probably take a few young people to distribute brochures from that county. I will probably get a printer to print the brochures from that county and all that. So there are a lot of opportunities, the opportunity cost that are lost in the bureaucracy. So I would say that, sometimes I think that leadership and management doesn't need a lot of intelligence. It just needs common sense. We need to apply our common sense in how we are managing some of these things. And common sense is very simple. It goes for the simplest way, it goes for the cheapest way, it goes for the shortest route. There is sense in saying that we need to harmonize some of these things. That if I pay my advertising license for a vehicle that I have branded in Nairobi, or if I pay for it in Murang'a or Kiambu, is it assumed that a business person has to go and pay in all the 47 counties? It becomes a logistical nightmare. So we need to apply common sense in how some of these decisions are made if really we are going to promote trade in this country.
All right. Okay. Lastly, there's someone who threw me a topic earlier today, and I want you guys to pick up on that. And I think I had some things that I had actually thought about over the weekend. And I remember I said that poverty is not in your pockets, it's in your mind. Now, is poverty a choice?
Bitok, you've given the answer. Poverty is a state of mind, but when it is physical, it's the most dehumanizing situation or circumstance any human being can find themselves. But you see, the environment has a lot of opportunities. But one of the things our people don't do, or our people did in the past, but now they no longer do, is scanning the environment around you. And I talked about three things. You have to be very original. you have to be very innovative. You must solve a problem. You must do something which other people haven't done. And then you must be able to sustain it. And this is what our people don't do. And a lot of people not do. And if you want to understand how easy it is, if you walk down here to any of the markets, you will get 3 carrots at 20 shillings. If you take a matatu or even take a walk, you go down to Marikiti, which you can walk because it's not far. It's about 5 kilometers. Okay? You will get 20 or even 15 those big carrots at 50 shillings. What does that tell you? That out of that 50, you can come and pack them in 5 and make 100. That's just one product. And I talked about things that people must use on a daily basis. Things that people must use.
On a daily basis.
One of them is food. The other one is fuel. People must use something to cook. Okay? We have young men who said, I will not go looking for a job. I'm going to have a bicycle in an estate. And so anybody who calls to get gas, I will deliver at 50 shillings. How many people does he need to deliver to make his 500?
Just 10.
Just 10. And is it possible in the crowded estates?
It is.
It is possible. You see, so you've got to think within your environment what you need. There's an ingenious group of young people I like very much because I talked to them and they told me we just saw there were no jobs, so we decided to create a garbage company to collect people's garbage. And they say this is a crowded place, so we charge. Some people we charge 200 because they are in a small house. Others we charge 300. The big houses pay 350. Nobody complains. I never miss to pay them. Because first they say, we take the garbage out for you. Then as you see, before we take the garbage out, we have another group that sorts out this garbage. We are taking some of this garbage to people who are farming pigs in Kiambu because it is biological waste and food. And I thought about it and I asked myself, suppose these guys were then to come up with a bucket where I can put the food and put it separately. Wouldn't that be easier?
It is.
But then people thinking about this kind of things, that these guys can the environment, know that there are people who needed food for their pigs. There are those who need the garbage collected, and they are making these people meet. At whose cost? At the cost of all these people.
Yeah.
It's a value chain. They've created a completely new value chain. And that is the way to go. That is the way to go. You're trying to connect this group and this group.
Wow.
Yes. Once you connect two people who need each other, because this person who has a piggery doesn't have the time to come
and collect. So the needs are mutually inclusive. So they've come in between. And so then I asked them, so do you own the lorries? They say, no. As we just hired the lorry for that day. Then I asked them, how many estates are you collecting? Now they told me, after collecting along Gong Road, they're moving to Dagoretti. Soon they're saying we might even get Karen. Then he said we also have what he told me, he's a sharp man. He told me we even have scavengers who join us because they want to go through the garbage and pick whatever is useful. And he said, look, like this place of yours, everybody throws plastic and plastic containers away. Even good containers. Yeah. We have those people who then collect and go and resell them in Kariako. You see, you create a value chain. Yeah. But a lot of people, that's a dirty job. I get very impressed by that gentleman, and I keep telling him, I paid him and told him we meet in April. We meet in April, because I also want to encourage him, because I like the idea he's come up with. He's connecting a number of people. You need the plastics. This one needs feeds for the animals. This one needs their garbage taken away. How many people's problems are they solved? Very many.
Very many.
Right. So poverty is a choice.
It can be a choice.
Very tough question, because
is.
if you asked me that question when I was younger, I would have rushed to conclude that poverty is a choice. But today I have different dimensions to the topic, and I would probably think about the children of Israel. You see, when the children of Israel were in Egypt as slaves, they were poor. But their poverty was not a choice. Yeah. Their poverty was an injustice visited upon them by the regime of Egypt. But God delivered them from the land of slavery, took them to the wilderness. And at one point, they were overlooking their land of promise. At that point, the decisions they take on whether to go to the land of promise, which is a free market, at that point, their poverty may be a choice. And what I would say is that sometimes in such a situation, poverty is a consequence. It is a consequence of lack of actions. It is a consequence of lack of offering value to each other as human beings. Because in a free market, like we have said previously in this conversation, a human being has got to wake up asking himself, whose problem am I going to solve today? If you do not solve anyone's problem, then you will end up with a big problem yourself. So I would say that in a free market, a free world, if a human being does not look for something that he can be able to do for other human beings in terms of work, Captain has given a very good example on garbage collection. That is a problem for a lot of people. Where do I take my garbage? So if you do not solve other people's problem, then you will end up with a problem in your own life, which is going to be sometimes reflected as poverty. So I would say that poverty can be a choice in a situation whereby somebody has an opportunity to work, but they do not want to work. Somebody has an opportunity to think and solve problems, but they do not want to do that. For such a person, we can say that their poverty was a choice. Yeah.
You just have to be politically correct, but anyway, that is okay. All right, guys, as we close, your last thoughts.
Bitok, I want to again perhaps say this. You know, there is the opportunity cost in terms of time. When people are in school, for example, college, they are gaining knowledge. That at that point you could equate them to that position of slavery, because you see, at that point there is nothing much they can do. Yeah. And only opportunities may be limited even with the college space. Yeah. But there are still people who've innovated even within colleges. One of the persons who was my classmate as a professor, he's now a professor of law, was a barber in the university. Wow. He bought machines. So of course, anybody who needed a haircut, we went to his kinyozi. And sometimes we would have big problems with the administrators in the hostels, because they would say he's ananyonya power and he's not paying for it. But I think they got to an understanding. You get the point. So he was solving our problem. Yes, and charging us 10 shillings to cut our hair. Okay. And at that time it looked very good. Yeah. And that time he could also cut you to the style you want. And that's the point. When I talked about this group of the garbage collectors, remember the whole thing is, it's an original idea. Other people have collected garbage and gotten and put it somewhere. But this person becomes innovative, sorts out, and knows where to take this and where to take that. Yeah. Then has a market for something else and takes this one elsewhere. And tells people, this is a feed for your animals. You see the thinking behind it? Yeah. Now, in the world of today, if somebody does not, as you say, think outside or without the box, after school, because education is not what you get in school. Education is what remains after school. That what remains in your mind. And you must use your knowledge to create value for the capital market. If you don't use your knowledge, as you say, to change somebody's life and circumstance, then that knowledge is worthless. True. And that is why we seem to have, I know Bitok wants to drive that. Yes, for people who've attained degrees and are not doing what I keep saying, reading, writing, and doing all that appertains to the degree, that poverty is a state of mind and is a choice.
All right, Eriko. Kafunge.
Good. I think today I want to close by saying that no matter how good ideas you have in your mind, unless they are acted on, they mean nothing. And I give a story of a man who was sick. You gave us a story in the beginning. Who was sick, and he went to the doctor, and the doctor gave him tablets that would have treated his disease. And the doctor asked the patient, do you believe that if you take this medicine, you will get well? And the patient said, yes, I will get well. Do you believe so? Do you believe that you would get well if you took this medicine? I'm sure this medicine is for your disease. Do you believe if you take it, you would get well? The patient said, yes, I know I would get well. And the doctor kept on asking that question, and the patient was very sick, and he was in his last moments of life if he was not given the medicine. And the doctor places the tablets on the hands of the patient and keeps on asking, do you believe that if you take, you will get well? And the patient says, I know if I take, I will get well. And it goes on and on and on until the patient dies. Why? Because he did not take the medicine. You can have the right idea, it can be at hand at the right time, but if it is not executed, if you do not put the tablets into your mouth, you still die. So let's take action this week on our ideas.
Let's take the tablets. It could be tablets of business, tablets of education, tablets of progressing, the tablets of investment, the tablets of responsibility and discipline, until you take those tablets. And that is going to change in your life. Emmanuel Kiwai says, very informative program. Thanks, sir. Nicole Chabiji, all the way from Loop in Eldoret. Gerald, can we get a repeat of the whole program? Every Monday we come to you with common sense. All right. Naomi Katuga says she's watching from Mombasa, KPA. All right. Jackie Agon says young people must move away from the notion that they will omoka through favors from their friends, relatives, and the like. We should never start side hustles because there is a godfather who are depending on to give you some huge tender somewhere. Start your hustle because you are passionate about whatever you want to supply and satisfy a need. Wow, that's very profound. As Akebe says, he's watching us from industrial area. And Nicole Chabiji, we have what are the benefits of NOREP to the North Rift counties, for example? Nothing tangible in the last 8 years. Anyway, guys, it was a pleasure to have you. It's always a pleasure to have you. This is The Tackle, and The Tackle is now. See you again tomorrow with Moses Kuria, Katunde South MP, the man who shoots from the rooftop. See you again. Bye-bye.